everybody. It's Safi and Marco. Well, we just finished watching Masterchef Junior.
Season 8, Episode 8, Jalapeno Business. Is that a good title, Safi?
Not really.
Well, that's the title, so get used to it.
Well, they started off, the reason why they're talking about jalapenos is because they started off with making a jalapeno popper, and it was a team challenge. Instead of this picking teams, they picked a thing. What is it that they picked up? They picked something out of a hat or whatever, and it had one of 3 colors, and so there were 3 teams, and they had a minimum of 3 on a team, I think, and so it's like 3 and 4 per team. I think one team was 3 and maybe the other 2 were 4. And so they all had to make jalapeno peppers. And Iran, because he's Mexican, he's from actually Louisiana, New Orleans.
People know that. That's kind of
I don't know if they all know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know he lived in New Orleans. He showed them. He's the one who showed them how to make them.
Well, why don't you explain how to make them? Because you just love to explain every single little detail of an episode.
Well, I'm trying to remember which jalapeno is the hottest. Is it the biggest, fattest one, or is it the skinny little one? And I thought the bigger ones were the hotter ones. And that's the ones he used. And he split it open and like it folded open, I guess. And then he take the seeds and the inside out?
Yeah.
Which makes it really, that part makes it extra spicy. And then he had a mixture of cream cheese and...
Okay, so the kids did a challenge where they made jalapeno poppers.
Like he did.
That's the short version of it. That's the less boring version.
Well, they had to do it like him.
After that, they look at which team did the worst job, and the worst 2 teams, basically. And both teams out of 3, so 2 out of the 3 teams had to do an elimination challenge. And then the elimination challenge ended up being crab. And so they all had to cook and...
a live crab.
Disassemble a crab and make the crab. And that's what happened in this episode.
And Gordon showed them how to disassemble the crab.
Okay, you don't need to go into that explanation now. And so the episode overall, I would say it was pretty good. I mean, one of the things that, even if it's a great episode of MasterChef Junior, if there's a contestant that bothers you, it can kind of overshadow the entire episode.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially in Hell's Kitchen, where pretty much everyone is unlikable, including Gordon himself. It's like, it really it makes it hard to watch the show because you're like watching these really unlikable people, and it's like, I don't really care like who wins or loses or anything because they're all just so unlikable and gross. Like and I'm talking about Hell's Kitchen. I'm not talking about MasterChef Junior. Although one of the kids from season 1 he was very gross. I mean, he's probably one of the worst reality show contestants I've ever seen in history.
Wow.
And so I would say it's pretty good, but that one contestant overshadows it all for me. Like, just the fact that it seems like they don't learn. Like, for some reason, they've learned that all these people in these past team challenges, like the magician, he got exposed in a team challenge. They sent that epilepsy girl home for no reason because of a team challenge, quote unquote. But yet with Mafia Don, it's like he's done now like 1 million team competitions, and he's the same way in every single one.
Yes, he is. He starts griping at the other contestants, and he does not get along with anybody.
And it's like, why has he not been sent home yet? Like, he is consistently, every single time he has been exposed for being a jackass in these team challenges. And so the fact that he hasn't been sent home is just kind of bizarre. But actually, it was a tough spot with this episode because the person they actually did send home, I would have sent her home too. Like, I kind of wanted to send them both home and then let Gummy Molly stay. And the reason why I'm going to call her that from now on is because she has like a headband that has gummy worms on it, which I thought was really funny. So I guess, what do you think, Safi? Do you think her favorite dessert is gummy worms?
Mixed with something else.
Let's settle this right now, Safi. How would you rank gummy worm flavors?
I don't like gummy worms,
well,
really.
It depends on the types, like sour or regular or...
I think I like sour.
Yeah.
They're more interesting. I think with the other ones, they're so boring, they almost all taste alike. Yet the sour ones, it seems like they're more distinctive and zingy.
I used to like going to Hollywood Video, and I would get the same movie, and I would get a bag of gummy worms, sour gummy worms, and popcorn, and I'd eat that and watch the movie as many times as possible. And to me, I would say what do you have? You have the blue and red. You have the orange and green.
Oh.
Orange and green.
And what, red and yellow?
Red and yellow. Yeah, I would say worst one is red and yellow. I really don't like the yellow.
Because would be kind of a lemon and then a cherry. They don't really go together.
And then second place is green and orange. And first place is easily blue and red.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's what we think about. That's our gummy worm rankings. And so, anyways, for this team challenge, the gist of it is the teams work together except for Mafia Don. He was just kind of a stick in the mud.
He started griping at them before they even started.
And then they started, and he was like touching up on one of them, and he's like trying to invade their space and do whatever they're doing for them. It was really weird. It was like watching. It was like watching Hell's Kitchen. I mean, he would be. I swear, as soon as he turns 18, he would be a natural at Hell's Kitchen. Like he would be the winner of Hell's Kitchen. Just basically, he would make everyone else want to leave the show. And so then he would be the only one left, and he would win.
Well, he was bullying Molly and pushing her around. And I mean, she was, she's been in a million competitions. I don't think he understands.
And she didn't really care about him, too. Like, she didn't really...
No, she didn't. She was being polite. Politer than he was to her.
Yeah. So, Sav, keep talking, Sav. Why
Well,
are you just sitting there like
you don't want me to talk,
You're
so
sitting there like a student in a principal's office or something.
Because you don't want me to talk. So.
No, I don't want you to explain things and start like doing like long explanations of what happens in an episode.
I felt bad because it seems like when he's on your team, he causes you to lose.
I know.
And I knew that I didn't think they would win. And the people who won were people who got along and worked together. I mean, he had that little girl with pearls. Then you have that tall Indian boy. Can't think of his name. And then you have
beer.
A beer. I should know that. A beer. And then you have that little boy Cruz, who has been. Oh, I know what I could say. He hasn't been.
He's been trashed the whole competition.
He has not been that great. He's been real childish.
But then in this episode, he was really good.
Yes, he was had a lot of confidence.
He's one of those contestants who flew under the radar, kinda. And I think it's probably because they didn't really show everyone's dishes early on. Yeah. And so maybe he's always had good dishes, and they just didn't show them.
That could totally be right.
Yeah.
and and this is what they did differently tonight. I don't know if they did that before until tonight, but they showed everybody's dishes.
It was nice to see that.
The team that won, they went upstairs. It was everybody else, so it was quite a few kids. So that was nice. I really appreciated that, because I like to see what they came up with, and they were all different from each other. They did not. Neither one replicated the other. They all had something different. So,
Well, so we're done with the Jalapeno Poppers challenge. Obviously, Mafia Don's team lost. What do you expect?
They did the worst. They only made 3 good ones.
Yeah, what do you expect?
No, I didn't expect them. I knew they weren't going to win because he was griping at her and bothering her the entire time.
Everyone knew they were going to lose, including the judges. Like, that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
So, and then I think it was the 3 of them that were the 3 who were up for elimination, too, at the very end.
Yes, you're right.
So isn't that interesting?
It is. I didn't even think about that.
So then we got to the crab, and I gotta be honest, I thought the only 2 dishes that looked good were Cruz's and then
Leah.
Leah. Are you sure?
Leah. Yeah.
Leah's.
Liya.
Hers looked really, really good.
It was very professional looking.
Hers looked the best, like those dumplings and everything. That's like what I would have liked to have eaten.
And she had made a special sauce that you could pour over them.
I'm a big fan of crab. I think crab is like really good, and I would say like crab is like almost better than steak.
Did he tell them how long they had to be in the boiling water?
I don't think they talked about that.
I was going to say, I don't remember hearing that.
Probably because it would have been something
controversial.
Yeah. People would have been like, but Gordon said this one thing and it was very offensive to us vegans. I don't
know. I just think cruelty to animals.
Idiots would be offended.
Cruelty to animals or something.
Well, what about the cruelty that Mafia Don imposed upon his teammates?
His fellow teammates. I know. I don't think he understands that girl. I mean, this one, I think he's so insensitive and thoughtless. She has been in numerous national, maybe international, cooking competitions with her father. And it's not her, maybe, that was the start. It was him. But she was along for the ride every time she said that. So she's used to having to do this, competing. And, she never cooked crab before, so it was kind of problematic for her.
She should be
tried.
She should be the spokeswoman for Masterchef Junior, since she is so competition centric.
She's just confident.
Well, yeah.
As confident as she can be with things that she's more familiar with.
She's even more confident than Mafia Don. Basically, it's just that he's louder than her, so
yeah,
that's what kind of overtakes it.
Yeah.
So anyways, they did the crab competition, and one of the things that really irritated me, which this was, for all the things that we've said about Mafia Don, which, he's probably not like this in real life.
I hope not.
I hope not, because it was kind of like when you watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and it's like, oh God, something bad's going to happen to him. And then the Oompa Loompas are going to come out and they're going to say, Mafia Don, blah, 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 blah. But the thing that really pissed me off was Gordon came over to Sierra. And she was one of the ones who flew under the radar. And she's pretty good. Not as good as the epilepsy girl, of course.
No.
And Gordon came up to her, and he's like, have you ever tasted crab before? You like box crab? And she's like, no, I don't like crab. I'm not going to eat any of this crab. So why don't you suck on that, Gordon? And he's like, are you serious, little girl? This is elimination? And if you go home tonight, you're going to feel pretty silly that you went home all because you wouldn't taste your food. And she's like, ooh, I don't want to go home. And then guess what happens? She doesn't even taste it.
She never tasted it, and that's the thing. She was the Mafia Don guy and Molly both tasted their food. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't see Molly, but I know she would have. But I saw him taste his several times, and it didn't look good at all, but it tasted delicious. And they knew that, and you suspected that because he tasted it. So he knew it was going to be good. He even said something, my food tastes pretty good, so I'm hoping that'll help because it doesn't look good.
Well, he likes the food that he makes. Like he said, he's a big fan of soul food, and so he's probably he'd like to taste his food. Like when the slob when he was making those donuts and then he ate them all. It's because he likes donuts probably,
Yeah.
and so this guy likes the food he was making. And, we've never had that before. We've never had any succotash or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty good.
Mm,
Looks pretty good.
it's okay.
Nothing looked as good as the dumplings, honestly.
No.
But, yeah, that really pissed me off, the whole thing with, her refusing to taste the crab. I mean, I almost feel like the Masterchef Junior Twitter should, get their family to have her taste crab and then post a video of it on Twitter to show, yeah, she finally tasted crab and then show her reaction or something. I don't know.
She was a little goofy.
And that's irritating. It's it's such a, you don't have to eat a lot of it. You can just eat, a little bit of it. Like,
Tasting it.
Let's say, Safi, what if you were in MasterChef and you had to cook grasshoppers?
Yeah.
Would you taste the grasshoppers,
I've
Safi?
never done that. I don't think so.
So even though you're in a competition,
I guess I just wouldn't be there at the competition because
you're there. You're there right now. You're surrounded by fellow people.
fellow cooks.
You're surrounded by fellow YouTube movie reviewers.
I've been through this.
Special competition.
I lived in a place that valued these really big grasshoppers for a special treat. It was called ensenene, and they did different things with them. They either boiled them. What they did was first they took off all their legs. God. Just thinking about it makes you want to puke.
Well, Safi, just think about you're in a competition.
I don't know, Marco, because I've seen it. I've seen them being cooked. I didn't care for it.
Let's change the type of food. Okay, you're in a competition. You're standing in front of a counter, and you're surrounded by weirdos. And all of a sudden, you lift up the box, the mystery box. Ah! Guess what's under the mystery box?
Know.
A human leg.
Oh, Marco.
This is the first cannibal.
Dumb.
This is the first cannibal MasterChef. Will you taste the human leg?
No, and I just wouldn't be there. Okay.
Okay, let's try another one.
Let's not say we did.
Let's do a more realistic one. You're in a competition. It's a cutthroat kitchen. And you're surrounded by cats. And cats have learned how to cook at this point because it's the future. And underneath the dish there are, what are those things called that you get on pizza?
Anchovies?
Yeah, there's anchovies.
Those are little fish.
You have to cook the anchovies. Are you going to taste it, even though you don't like anchovies?
Well, they're really just little sardines.
So there you go. It's that simple. It's really that simple, honestly. You're in a competition, you're cooking food, you gotta taste it. And that was the point I wanted to make.
Okay, great.
What do you think of that?
But we have watched numerous. It may not reflect in the reviews because we did this a long time before we started doing this channel. We watched a lot of food competitions, a lot of cooking shows.
I've always considered reviewing them. It's just that it's so many episodes that I kind of think that it would like basically take over our whole channel if that's
Yeah.
all we did.
Well,
So
the thing is, the cardinal rule on every single one of them was taste your food.
yeah,
And I mean, every single one of them, wouldn't matter whether it was children or adults. And so for her not to do that, and right in front of Gordon, who's a judge and determines whether or not she goes home. And you know what happened? When she made her dish, it looked fair, like a C maybe, but it was under seasoned.
yeah, it was bland.
And bland, and she would have known that if she had tasted it. And I just remember on previous weeks, like one time they didn't have enough, it affected the way that the food was. They didn't have enough of whatever it was, and because she was thinking it was a different dish. And so they had to add it, and it kind of affected the, what would you call it, the character of the dish, because the way it was added after the fact. And then there was another time where it was she had a thing about tasting the food, and I don't get
She's
that.
like, I don't like the texture of crab.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
It's like,
I would
you know what I don't like? I don't like losing. So, like, and I think that losing is worse than texture of a crab meat.
Yeah, I don't think she was. She that's like I said. She was goofy. She was a little goofy.
Well, it's exactly like I said in previous episodes, where this group of kids, they're a specific type of group, where they're so not competitive that you'd have one contestant that wouldn't even care about tasting the food.
Well,
Like, it's only in this group of kids that you'd have that.
yeah, but see, it's so obvious. The thing was, he went up to her and it was a 5-minute exchange about her tasting the crab,
It was
and
pretty
she
funny.
didn't want to. And then when you have her food and she brings it up there, and it doesn't taste like anything, and you know because you stood there and talked to her for at least 5 minutes about that she didn't taste it, then she's directly responsible for her own. I mean, she blew herself up.
I knew at that point she definitely
Yeah.
deserves to go home.
And it was, and forget about the boy who doesn't get along with anybody and does not work as a team player whatsoever. He tasted his food and it tasted good, and she didn't, and it tasted bad. So
The other
that's
contestant who would have been sent home was Gummy Worm Molly. She had this interesting dish, to say the least, where it was a crab Benedict. And I've seen stuff like that before. Like, we went to Philadelphia one time, and they had salmon Benedict, and it was pretty interesting, pretty weird. It wasn't that good, honestly. But
how does that work? What do they do?
they just put, instead of an egg, or they put like salmon on top of everything. Like they put, like you have the eggs Benedict, and then they just put whatever else on top of that.
Oh, okay.
And with the salmon one, they also put spinach, and that's what was gross, was that there was this really gross, weird tasting spinach, and it was all soggy and wet, and it was gross. Should have given it to that homeless guy who was digging in the garbage can.
Well, they have a thing in Philadelphia that if they see homeless people, they go out and give them food.
I should have given him the salmon Benedict.
They told us this.
You know what they should also do? They should give all the Masterchef Junior food to homeless people too, instead of throwing it in the garbage can.
I know. Well, but anyway, in Philadelphia, didn't they have like cab drivers who came by in the morning? They gather up food, and they distribute it to homeless people.
I don't know.
I think that's what they have a whole thing going there. I thought it was interesting.
Maybe they could do that on The Apprentice.
I don't know. Yeah, right. Okay.
And so, Gummy Worm Molly, she made a crab Benedict, and it just kind of fell flat. And it's unfortunate because it looked pretty good, honestly. Like, I don't know what they were talking about with the presentation. I just saw the crispy prosciutto on top, and I was like, okay, that looks good to me. Like, I'll eat that right now. And so it was good that she didn't get sent home because she's definitely one of the best contestants that they still have. Like, hopefully she's in the finale and that she doesn't fall victim to Mafia Don's reign of terror again.
Yeah.
So I give this episode a B plus. What about you, Safi?
I would agree. And one thing I liked was the fact we got to see everybody's dishes. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
And I, I, I don't know. I just thought that that was a good thing. And also, it seems like that the person they sent home, even though I did not like that boy, because I thought he was terrible and mean and awful to be with, I thought they sent the right person home. And sometimes I have a big problem with that. But I thought
Always on Masterchef, too. Like, Masterchef especially. Each week it'll be like, oh, you sent that person home?
yeah, but that so and this time I didn't have an argument with it because
Yeah.
she was a little goofy. So and I thought that it was a shame, but still she did not taste her food, and there's a consequence to that.
Yeah.
And if especially if they weren't pleased with all of them in a certain way. I think his was mainly presentation, not taste at all.
They had the same thing. They had the same kind of issue. I think it was a MasterChef where a year or two ago they had like a vegan and he refused to taste
Yeah.
the meat.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wasn't it like a black guy and he refused to taste the meat that he cooked, and then he got sent home, and I was like, yeah, bye bye vegan.
Yeah.
Get
It's
wrecked.
like what did he expect?
Go eat your Impossible burgers.
Well, I don't think they had that then. They did not have all this plant food. God. God, is that stuff gross. I mean, you can see the plants in the food. Ew. God. That looks weird.
So let's say you're in a competition, Safi,
Marco, would you get over yourself?
and you lift up the mystery box, and ooh, it's vegan sausages.
Oh.
Would you taste it?
Yeah, I guess I'd have to, but see, I'm just the worst type of person.
There you go.
The medication that I take,
Even Safi would
even
taste
if it was regular sausage, it probably wouldn't taste good to me. It doesn't matter. Nothing tastes good, not even anything sweet or fun. And then the sweet stuff has fat in it.
You did like the margarita.
That doesn't agree with me either.
You did like the margarita that you drank though, right?
I am beating my head against the floor, okay, when it comes to food.
Really?
Yeah.
You're Amber hurting yourself against the floor?
Yeah, I guess so. But I did have a taste because I don't believe I should be drinking alcohol because of the medication I take. But I wanted to taste it. I did have a plain old, we went to El Toro, and we were able to carry out margaritas. And there's two kinds that I got. I got two glasses. One was a regular margarita.
And one was blue raspberry. And the blue raspberry one was fantastic.
Now, I didn't try that, but I didn't care. I wanted to try something. And so I just tried the plain one, and it was pretty good. I liked it. It would be a lot more fun to have it in the margarita glass with the edges dipped in salt.
It would be fun to have it in the summer when it's really hot out.
It's really hot.
That's when you want to have a drink like that.
Even if you're just having a sip. But still, it was nice. It was just different and nice to have the drink. I appreciated it. It's nice to have a little surprise that actually tastes good or tastes like something. okay? And that isn't going to make you sick, which is horrible. So anyway, we both give it a B plus. We're in agreement. It was a pretty good episode, and the two things I liked, like I said, were we got to see everybody's dish, and the person who went home, I felt deserved it, which is almost a problem. I would say 9 times out of 10 that we don't like the fact the person they sent home was sent home.
Like in the future, even though Safi thinks it's not a big deal anymore, Safi, no offense, but this is always going to be known as the season where they sent Epilepsy Girl home.
Yeah.
You know, honestly.
I would have liked to seen what she came up with and how she would have performed. It's a shame. So everybody, if you like this audio cast of our review of the latest MasterChef Junior episode, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to become one of our subscribers, we welcome you with open arms because we like to listen to other people's comments and opinions about the episode or any other thing you would like to talk about to do with movies and TV. Okay? Goodbye, everybody.